Section 1. The Quiet Retreat. There's something happening out there, brother. Something I don't think any of us expected to see in our lifetime. Men, ordinary men, steady men, are walking away from approaching women altogether. Not out of fear, not out of weakness, but because they looked at the world they're living in and realized the cost of a simple interaction has gotten too high. It's the biggest withdrawal of male attention we've ever seen, and it's happening quietly, almost silently, like a tide pulling back from the shore. Women are just now starting to notice. You can hear it in their voices online. Confusion, frustration, even anger. But men aren't trying to punish anyone. They're not making some grand statement. They're protecting themselves. And if you've watched the landscape the way I have, you understand why. The numbers are brutal. So many men under 30 haven't approached a woman in a year. Some never have. And the strange thing is, it isn't shyness holding them back. It's risk, because the fear men carry now isn't the old fear of rejection. That used to sting, but it didn't follow you home. Now the fear is destruction, the kind that lingers, the kind you don't recover from. A man says hello to the wrong person on the wrong day, and suddenly he's online, recorded, mocked, labeled, accused. A compliment becomes harassment. A misread signal becomes a threat. One mistake, and your name isn't yours anymore. I've listened to men tell me stories that would have sounded like bad jokes 10 years ago. A guy tells a coworker she has a nice haircut. Then HR wants a meeting. Another spends weeks talking to a woman, feels a connection, invites her to coffee, and she posts his face online calling him a creep. These aren't rare moments anymore. This is the air men breathe now. And the strangest part, some women are confused by the retreat while cheering on the very culture that caused it. They ask, why don't men approach anymore, as they share videos mocking men who tried. They celebrate humiliations, then wonder where all the attention went. The disconnect is unreal, but men see it clearly. They've been paying the price long enough to understand the game changed. And when a man understands the game is rigged, he stops playing. So men are stepping back, not out of bitterness, not out of anger, but out of survival. They're doing what men have always done when the environment turns hostile. They move quietly, protect their peace, and wait for safer ground. And in this world, brother, safety is worth more than connection. Section 2. When interest became dangerous. What a lot of people don't understand is that men didn't stop approaching because they lost the art. They stopped because the cost of showing interest stopped being simple. What used to be a moment, two people crossing paths, maybe a spark, maybe not, has turned into a risk calculation. Men aren't worried about being awkward. They're worried about being accused, recorded, humiliated, lied about, punished for a misunderstanding they never meant to create. You'd be surprised how quickly a normal interaction can turn into trouble now. A man helps someone at a store, answers a harmless question, even smiles, and he's wondering if this will be the day someone decides he made them uncomfortable. One guy told me about a woman who kept showing up at the auto parts store where he shops. She'd pretend she needed help with oil changes, though she clearly didn't, and you'd think he'd feel flattered. But he avoided her completely, because men know the truth. If she changes her mind later, if she feels embarrassed or offended, or simply bored, he could become the villain in a story he never agreed to be part of. And it's not just strangers. The double standards in relationships have turned into traps men are tired of walking into. Some women say they want a man who leads, someone decisive, someone strong. But the moment he actually takes initiative, he's controlling. Toxic. A red flag. They want the benefits of a man who leads without accepting what leadership actually looks like. It's like being handed a steering wheel and told not to touch it. A man sets a boundary, something simple, something human, and he's called insecure. But she can set any boundary she wants, and that's standards. He expresses a preference, and it's toxic. She expresses 10, and it's empowerment. It wears a man down, makes him quiet, makes him cautious, makes him wonder if opening up, showing interest, or simply speaking honestly is worth the fallout. And the part that cuts the deepest? Normal kindness has become suspicious. An older man tells a young woman she looks nice in her dress. something harmless, something respectful. She films him without asking and puts him online with the words, "Creepy old man alert." And now his grandchildren see strangers calling him a predator. One moment of politeness becomes a stain he can't wash off. Men see all of this. They absorb it. They connect the dots. And after enough stories like these, something inside them clicks. They start realizing this isn't about confidence. It's not about courage. It's about survival. And once a man understands the danger, he moves different. He speaks less. He approaches less. He protects the little piece he has left. Modern dating was supposed to bring people together. Instead, it made every interaction feel like stepping into a room with tripwires. And men, brother, they're tired of stepping on mines just to say hello. Section 3. Boundaries, manipulation, and the breaking point. There's a moment every man hits when he realizes he's done negotiating with chaos. I've seen it happen more and more lately. Women try to use drama, ultimatums, and emotional games to force a man's hand, thinking he'll panic, chase, or fold the way men used to. But modern men, they've hit their limit. They're not chasing anymore. They're not begging. They're not fighting to hold on to someone who creates storms just to feel desired. I knew a guy whose girlfriend hit him with an ultimatum: propose by Christmas or I'm gone. 10 years ago, a man might have caved, but this man just nodded, quiet and calm, and said, "All right, then we're done." She didn't expect that. She thought walking toward the door would make him grab her hand. Instead, he opened the door for her, and when she realized she didn't want to leave, it was already too late. The bluff failed because men aren't playing that game anymore. The same thing happens with manufactured drama. A woman starts a fight over nothing, storms out, blocks him everywhere, expecting him to chase her across the digital world like some knight in a fairy tale. But the modern man just shrugs. She blocked me? Good. Saves me the trouble. The dramatic exits don't hit like they used to because men have finally learned something important. Peace is more valuable than proving a point. And the expectations on first dates? They've reached a place no man can keep up with. She has one good conversation and suddenly she's writing a whole story in her head, thinking he's the soulmate she's been searching for, thinking he owes her a certain pace, a certain intensity. Meanwhile, he's just trying to enjoy a simple evening and get to know someone. When he doesn't match the fantasy she built, she thinks he's playing games. But really, he's just being human. The rules around communication don't make sense either. Text too soon and you're desperate. Text too late and you're disinterested. Say too much and you're needy. Say too little and you're a player. Every woman has her own private rulebook, and men are expected to follow rules they were never told. It's like a game where the penalties change every time you step on the field. I've seen real connections fall apart over the smallest things. A man orders for her at dinner. She smiles, goes along with it, then later decides it means he's controlling, or he doesn't walk her to her door because she said she was fine. Then she turns it into proof he doesn't care. The margin for error has become zero. Men are walking through dates like tightropes, worried that one misstep will turn something warm into something hostile. And underneath all of this is something deeper. The projection. Some women create whole stories about a man before they truly know him. They build a version of him in their heads, then punish the real man when he doesn't match the character they invented. You become a role you never auditioned for. And when you don't read the script correctly, you're the villain. Brother, men aren't afraid of dating because they're weak. They're stepping back because the smallest moment can turn into a misunderstanding that ruins everything. They're tired of being characters in someone else's drama. They're tired of the eggshells, the traps, the expectations no one can meet. At some point, a man stops trying to win a game where the rules were never meant for him. Section 4. The Minefield. Men walk through. Dating used to feel simple, even when it was messy. A man could stumble a little, misread a moment, say something awkward, and life went on. Now it feels like walking blindfolded through a minefield. Every step, every word, every look carries the potential to blow up in your face. And the explosion doesn't just end the moment. It ends reputations, careers, friendships, whole futures. One misunderstanding can turn into a story that spreads faster then you can defend yourself. I've heard men talk about things that shouldn't even be imaginable. A long hair in the car leads to accusations of cheating, even after he proves it was his sister's. Didn't matter. The story had already spread. A woman's fantasy became his reality, and everyone believed her feelings over his facts. And when she realizes she's wrong, she doesn't repair the damage. She just moves on. He's left carrying the weight of her imagination. That's what's crushing. Not the accusations themselves, but the lack of accountability that follows. A man can be proven innocent, but the stain stays. The whispers stay. The stress stays. Meanwhile, the person who caused the chaos just shrugs and lives her life, untouched by the fallout she created. Men have learned the hard truth. Your innocence doesn't protect you. Her feelings do. And then there's the instability, the kind of emotional swings that would worry a professional, but somehow get labeled as passion. Men are expected to navigate that without reacting, without defending themselves, without making the situation worse. I saw messages once from a guy's ex. In the span of an hour, she went from, "I love you," to "You ruined my life," to "Don't leave me," to "I'm calling the police if you reply." And he hadn't sent a single text in between. He was silent. But silence wasn't enough to keep her calm. Men are asked to endure behavior that would be called abusive if the roles were reversed. Their boundaries get dismissed, mocked, or treated as obstacles to push past. A man says, "I'm not comfortable with this," and she hears a challenge. A man says no, and she hears negotiation. Meanwhile, her boundaries are treated like sacred commandments. Her discomfort is law. His discomfort is weakness. And somewhere along the way, men stopped feeling safe showing interest at all. Because one awkward date can turn into a TikTok rant, exposing his face, his job, his name. All because he wasn't her type. A man doesn't just risk rejection anymore. He risks becoming content for strangers. He risks becoming a cautionary tale she tells for likes. So men retreat. They pull back. They become careful, quiet, distant. Not because they hate women, not because they're broken, but because they've learned that in this world, peace isn't something you find. It's something you protect. And right now, approaching a woman feels like stepping into a place where peace can be taken from you before you even understand what went wrong. Section 5. Choosing peace over chaos. There comes a point in a man's life when he finally understands his peace is worth more than the promise of connection. You see it in how men act now. They're not chasing drama. They're not running after people who weaponize emotion. They're not signing up for relationships that feel more like interrogations than companionship. Men have realized that coming home shouldn't feel like stepping into a courtroom. Your phone shouldn't feel like a surveillance tool. Your social media shouldn't feel like evidence against you. So men are pulling back, quietly, thoughtfully, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. They're doing the math, and the numbers don't lie. No false accusations if you keep your distance. No heartbreak theatrics if you don't engage. No reputation threats if you never enter the arena. The safest move is often no move at all, and more men are choosing that safety without apology. Social media only made things worse. Every interaction is potential content now. A date can turn into a story. Time for strangers. A private moment can become a public performance. You're not just dating her, you're dating her followers, her audience, the people waiting to hear about your mistakes. Men feel that pressure. They feel the eyes, and they're stepping away from the spotlight entirely. And young men, they're paying attention. They've watched their friends, their fathers, their brothers get crushed by false accusations, weaponized breakups, courts that don't care about their side. They've seen men lose jobs, savings, reputations, not for crimes, but for misunderstandings. When you grow up watching casualties, you don't walk toward the battlefield. You walk the other way. That's why the fear isn't rejection anymore. It's survival. Men aren't afraid of a woman saying no. They're afraid of her saying yes, and then changing the story later. They're afraid of succeeding with the wrong person, someone who could tear their life apart when the relationship ends. Failure isn't the danger. Success is. Good women suffer for this too. Women who are genuinely honest, kind, responsible. They wonder why men seem distant, guarded, hesitant. They think it's something wrong with them, but it's not. It it's the environment. Men can't tell who's safe and who's dangerous until the damage is already done. And most men can't afford that gamble anymore. So when people ask, "Where have all the good men gone?" the answer is simple. They didn't disappear. They didn't fall apart. They just stopped approaching women. They're still out there, in the gym, at work, on the trail, living quietly, living peacefully. They're building lives that don't depend on romantic chaos to have meaning. And when the shaming comes, man up, stop being scared, take risks. Men hear the truth behind those words. They hear that some people care more about men being useful than safe, because real men don't just take risks. Real men assess risks. And right now, the assessment says one thing: stay away. Men aren't trying to win a broken game. They're walking off the field entirely. Section 6. The rise of parallel lives. Men used to believe relationships were the heart of a meaningful life. But somewhere along the way, they discovered something different, something calmer. They found a kind of happiness that exists outside the dating world. A parallel life with no chaos, no accusations, no shifting rules to trip over. And once a man tastes that kind of peace, it's hard for him to give it up. You see it in the things men pour themselves into now. Hobbies that actually relax them. Friendships that don't turn into battlegrounds. Work that rewards effort instead of emotion. Fitness, creativity, travel. All the pieces of a life that grows quietly and steadily, without anyone taking from them more than they can afford to lose. It's not loneliness, it's clarity. Online spaces have become a kind of refuge too. Gaming, communities, brotherhoods built around shared interests. Places where men can laugh, compete, build, and unwind without worrying that every word might be twisted into something else. People criticize men for escaping into these worlds, but they never stop to ask why these worlds feel safer than dating. And then there's the money. Relationships aren't just emotional risks now. They're financial ones. Men look at the cost of modern dating and see a rigged system waiting to drain them. Expensive dates that lead nowhere. Gifts for someone who may leave tomorrow. Divorce courts that take half of everything they built. Child support for kids they barely get to see. Some men run the numbers and realize solitude is the safer investment. Their mental health improves too. Less anxiety, less pressure, better sleep, better focus. They're not living under constant emotional surveillance or wondering which moment might blow up on them. The quiet gives them room to breathe and rebuild whatever got damaged along the way. And while some women are starting to understand what's happening, for many, it's too late. They're seeing that the dating culture they cheered for years is the same culture pushing men away now. The power they thought was permanent was actually borrowed. The attention they assumed would always be there wasn't guaranteed. Even if everything changed tomorrow, even if false accusations stopped, even if double standards disappeared, there's still a problem nobody can fix. Trust doesn't grow back on its own. Once men see how dangerous things can get, they don't forget it. You can't convince a man he's safe just by telling him he is. He needs proof, and right now, there isn't any. This is the new normal. Young men are growing up in a world where fear isn't the exception, it's the foundation. They don't know what dating felt like before the landmines. They don't know a world where approaching a woman didn't carry career-ending risk. This isn't a phase, it's an environment men are adapting to, the same way men have always adapted when survival demanded it. And the hardest truth, there's no place left that feels safe. Work is dangerous. Apps are draining. Social spaces are traps. Every path feels like another chance to lose something you can't get back. So men take the only path that still makes sense, the one that keeps them whole. Section 7. When men walk away for good. There's a shift happening that nobody wants to talk about. Men aren't just stepping back from dating. Some are walking away from the whole system altogether. Not out of hate, not out of bitterness, but because they finally realized the cost of playing this game is too high. The rules don't protect them, the culture doesn't support them, and the consequences fall on them every time something goes wrong. Look at the legal system. A false accusation can follow a man forever, even after he proves his innocence. Divorce can take half of what he built. Custody battles are stacked against him before he even walks into the room. It's no surprise that some men choose childlessness, not because they don't want a family, but because they can't risk watching a system tear their life apart in one hearing. The Believe All Women movement, meant to address real issues, created a different problem too. It made accusation equal to guilt. No due process, no second chance. And men adapted the only way they could. They withdrew. They stopped putting themselves in situations where someone else's story could become a weapon. Even male spaces, the places men used to breathe, have been invaded and reshaped. Gyms, gaming, hobbies, even online communities. Everywhere men go to relax eventually gets criticized, policed, or reframed as threatening. So where do men go now? Where can they just exist without feeling watched or judged? For most, nowhere. And that emptiness becomes another reason to step away from dating entirely. Some men take the extreme safety route. They document everything, record conversations, save screenshots, avoid being alone with women at worst. They laugh at the Mike Pence rule, but the men who follow it keep their careers, their reputations, their freedom. Paranoia isn't the goal, survival is. And the world keeps insisting men are lonely because they can't get women. But that's not the truth. Many men are lonely because relationships stopped feeling safe. They choose solitude because it hurts less than betrayal. They choose quiet nights because they don't want to gamble their future on someone's impulse. Touch starvation is real, but so is the danger of giving the wrong person access to your life. That's why some men turn to pornography or AI companionship, not because they prefer it, but because it's safe. Pixels don't accuse you. Chatbots don't take your house. VR doesn't file for custody. People mock these men without ever asking why they needed safety in the first place. And the men who leave the country? They're not chasing tradition. They're chasing stability. A compliment isn't a crime. Interest isn't harassment. Dating isn't a legal risk. They're not running towards something better. They're running away from something dangerous. You see the same pattern in college. Young men look at campuses filled with rules, tribunals, and retroactive accusations, and they run to the trades. Welding doesn't require navigating gender politics. Plumbing doesn't ask you to sign consent forms. Electrical work doesn't threaten your future because of one misinterpreted moment. These men aren't avoiding education. They were avoiding danger. Even the military is struggling. Why fight for a society that labels you toxic? Why sacrifice for people who would celebrate your mistakes more than your service? The old incentives don't work on men who don't feel valued at home. And even the good women, the ones who mean well, are stuck in the same mess. Men can't tell who's safe. The dangerous ones don't announce themselves. Not all women are a threat. But men can't risk figuring out which is which after the damage is done. That's the part nobody wants to admit. Men aren't withdrawing because they're weak. They're withdrawing because they're logical. They're adapting to survive in an environment that stopped treating them fairly. And once a man learns how to live without the chaos, it's hard to convince him to go back. Section 8. The rational exit. In the end, brother, this whole thing comes down to self-preservation. Men aren't walking away from dating because they hate women. They're walking away because the danger has grown bigger than the reward. Every path back into the modern dating world feels like walking into something rigged. Men learned that even one misunderstanding, one breakup with the wrong person, one accusation said loudly enough, can wipe out everything they've built. And the culture keeps pretending that if men were braver, stronger, more confident, everything would fix itself. But confidence doesn't protect you from a false accusation. Being yourself doesn't save you when someone weaponizes a system designed to believe them and doubt you. Just keep trying sounds hollow when the game feels like Russian roulette with more bullets every year. So men are choosing something else. A life that doesn't depend on romantic chaos to feel whole. A parallel life built from things that can't be taken from them so easily. A life where they find purpose in their work, their health, their friends, their solitude. A life where peace isn't something they hope for, but something they guard. And while people mock men for choosing comfort over connection, They never ask why comfort suddenly feels safer than love. They never ask why video games feel more predictable than dating, why AI feels gentler than arguments, why solitude feels lighter than emotional landmines. Men aren't choosing fantasy, they're choosing safety. In a world where one mistake can cost you your livelihood, safety becomes sacred. Some people say men are failing the dating world. But maybe the dating world failed them first. Maybe it pushed them away with rules nobody could follow, expectations nobody could meet, and punishments nobody could survive. Maybe men aren't disappearing. Maybe they're just tired of being hurt for trying. And the sad thing is, some truly good women are left wondering what went wrong. They ask why men seem distant, why nobody approaches, why everything feels colder than it used to. It's not them, it's the environment. Men can't afford to gamble with strangers when the consequences are so permanent, not when danger doesn't wear a warning sign. So, this is where we are now. Not a world where men and women move together, but a world where they move beside each other. Parallel lives, parallel goals, parallel loneliness. Not because it's what anyone truly wants, but because it feels like the only safe way to live. Every man has to make his own calculation. Some still choose connection, risking everything for the hope of something real. Others choose peace, choosing themselves over the possibility of chaos. And neither path makes a man weak. Neither path makes him a coward. It just means he counted the cost and made the decision that lets him sleep at night. To the good women who wonder why men pull away, it's not your fault. It's the world you're both living in. And until that world becomes safer, men will keep choosing distance over danger. They'll keep choosing silence over misunderstanding. They'll keep choosing solitude over destruction. To the men reading this, your peace matters more than anyone's expectations. Your freedom is worth protecting. Your sanity is worth guarding. If stepping back keeps you whole, step back. If quiet keeps you safe, stay quiet. If solitude protects the pieces of your life you can't replace, then solitude isn't a tragedy, it's wisdom. The loneliest place isn't being alone, it's being with someone who can ruin you without consequence. And the safest choice isn't always the most exciting one. Sometimes it's the one that lets you breathe. Men aren't avoiding dating because they're weak. They're avoiding it because, for the first time in history, walking away is the smarter move.